The laughter came first. Careless, familiar, and cruelly effortless. "She'll cover the bills anyway. She always does." Vanessa's voice echoed from my phone speaker like static against my chest. My sister, my blood. And the voice note wasn't even meant for me. Just a slip of her thumb, the wrong contact. But those 7 words shattered something inside me that no argument ever could. I stared at the screen, frozen in my tiny Portland kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator louder than my heartbeat. For years, I'd been the responsible one, Nora, 29, medical billing specialist, the girl who made things work when no one else could. While my mother and Vanessa drifted through life, I kept the lights on, literally. The electric bill had my name on it now just to make paying easier. But that laugh, that thoughtless, entitled laugh, I pressed save on the message before I even realized what I was doing. Evidence. Proof of what I'd always known but never admitted. I wasn't family. I was a resource. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed replaying every conversation, every request disguised as helplessness. "Can you help, Nora?" Just this once? Car repairs, medical bills, birthday dinners I couldn't afford, all absorbed by quiet guilt and the twisted pride of being the good one. But now, those words looped like a curse. "She'll cover the bills anyway." By morning, something inside me had shifted. At work, my coworker Jessica passed by my cubicle with her usual grin. "You look like you're plotting something," she joked. Maybe I was. During lunch, I opened my banking app and stared at the scheduled $170 electric payment. One tap would cancel it. One tap would finally stop the cycle. I didn't press it, not yet. But the idea burned in my mind like a live wire. What if I just didn't pay? That night, I poured myself a glass of cheap wine and sat staring at my phone. 9 days left before the due date. 9 days before the decision that could set me free, or break me completely. I'd always told myself that love meant sacrifice. But maybe, I thought bitterly, it was time they sacrificed for once. And as the clock ticked toward midnight, a strange calm washed over me. I realized that this moment, was the first time in years I was thinking about myself. Maybe they'd finally have to think about me too. End of part 1. Curiosity builds. Will she do it? What happens if she finally says no? 5 days before the due date, my mom called. I could hear the script in her voice before she even began. "Oh, you know. Same old stuff. Bills piling up, trying to make ends meet?" She paused, waiting for me to offer the usual lifeline. I didn't. For the first time in years, I let the silence stretch between us like an uncut wire. "You manage," I said softly, then changed the subject. When I hung up, I expected relief. Instead, guilt rose like smoke. What if they really couldn't pay this time? What if the lights went out for real? But then I thought about all the times I'd drowned under their needs, and they never noticed mine. 3 days before the due date, Vanessa texted, "Hey, can you send me $50? Short on gas money, $50. Practically nothing. Yet my fingers shook as I typed, "Sorry, tight this month." A lie, but a necessary one. Her reply came minutes later. "Okay, no worries." No emotion. No surprise. Like she'd already moved on to her next target. 2 days left. I stared at the payment app for an hour before pressing cancel. The electric bill disappeared from the schedule, and something inside me exhaled. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't their safety net. When the due date came, I drove past their house at dusk. I told myself it was coincidence, but my heart knew better. Every house on the street glowed warm against the autumn dark. Every house except one, my mother's. It stood in silence, windows black, porch unlit, No hum of television behind the curtains. I slowed to a crawl, pulse hammering as I saw her car in the driveway, Vanessa's beat-up sedan on the curb. They were home. In the dark, I'd actually done it. For a fleeting second, I felt something like triumph. Then a shadow moved near the window, a figure standing still, looking out. I couldn't tell who it was. Mom? Vanessa? Maybe both. I pressed the gas and drove away, my hands trembling. The silence in my car was deafening. The next morning, my phone buzzed. 3 missed calls from Mom, a flurry of texts from Vanessa. Where are you? We need to talk. Power's out. What happened? They didn't even ask if I was okay. Just assumed I'd fix it, like always. When I finally picked up, Mom's voice cracked through the speaker. They shut it off. I thought you paid it, Nora. You always do. Her words landed like stones. Not thank you. Not I'm sorry. Just you always do. I can't, I said quietly. Silence. Then disbelief. What do you mean you can't? I mean, I don't have the money to spare right now. You'll have to handle it. Nora, we don't have power. We can't cook, can't charge our phones. Vanessa needs to get ready for work. How's she supposed to do that in the dark? That line almost made me laugh. My sister's hair and makeup were the emergency now. I'm sorry, I whispered, and meant it. But not for saying no. For waiting so long to learn how. Her voice hardened. I can't believe you'd do this to your own family. I closed my eyes. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just not doing it for you anymore. She hung up. For hours afterward, I sat staring at the blank wall across from my couch, realizing what I'd just done. The house was dark. They were furious. And for once, the world hadn't ended. It had just begun to change. End of part 2. Curiosity builds. What will they do now that Nora finally says no? Aunt Patricia called first, my mom's loyal messenger. Her voice was syrupy sweet, but her words cut. I just think maybe you should reconsider, Nora. Your poor mother's struggling. She's heartbroken. I could almost hear my mom feeding her lines from the background. Then maybe Vanessa should help her, I said. Vanessa doesn't make as much as you do, she replied softly, as if poverty were a personality trait. That's because she chooses not to. There was a pause. You've always been so responsible, she said finally, as though responsibility were a curse I'd brought upon myself. That night, I sat alone at my kitchen table, the weight of their judgment pressing on my chest. For years, being the dependable one had been my entire identity. Now, without it, who was I? Jessica wouldn't let me wallow. She dragged me out for dinner the next evening. Family? She guessed the moment I sat down, pale and distracted. I told her everything. The voice note, the cutoff, the guilt. She didn't even blink. Good, she said firmly. They were using you. You can't keep setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. The words hit me like oxygen. For the first time, someone saw me not as selfish, but as freeing myself. Then Vanessa texted, "We need to talk." In person, I should have ignored it. Instead, I agreed. Curiosity, that old enemy, won again. The next day, we met at a coffee shop on Bridge Street. She arrived exactly on time, wearing a new jacket and a purse that screamed expensive. She didn't order anything, just sat across from me, arms crossed. "What's your problem?" she said flatly. "Why are you suddenly acting like you don't care about us?" I almost laughed. Us. I'm not acting like I don't care. I'm acting like I finally care about myself. She rolled her eyes. You've always been dramatic. When's the last time you called without asking for money? I said quietly. Her face stiffened. That's not fair, isn't it? Her silence answered for her. Then I told her about the voice note. The color drained from her face like water from a cracked vase. You heard that? I saved it. She swallowed hard. It was just a joke. That's the problem, Vanessa. To you, my life, my sacrifices, are just punchlines. For a moment she looked small, ashamed even. But then came the tears, soft, practiced, familiar. So what now? You're just going to abandon us? No, I said, my voice steady. I'm just not going to be your ATM. She stood abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. Fine, but don't come crying to us when you need help. Then she walked out. I sat there, staring at her half-empty chair. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt like a soldier after a war, standing among the ruins of my own making. The following week, the silence returned, heavier this time, like the air before a storm. No texts, no calls, no updates. Then a message appeared on Facebook from my cousin Derek. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. I know how they are. Those few words cracked something open inside me, the tiniest confirmation that I wasn't crazy. That maybe, just maybe, I was finally doing the right thing. But deep down, I knew the fight wasn't over. My mom's silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. End of part 3. Curiosity builds. How far will her family go to pull her back under their control? It started quietly. A few whispers, a few relatives calling just to check in. Then the guilt campaign went public. I found out through a friend's screenshot. My mother had posted a long, dramatic message on Facebook about losing faith in family and being abandoned by those you love. She didn't use my name. She didn't have to. Every relative knew who she meant. For 2 days, my phone filled with texts. Some sympathetic, some sharp. Family is everything. You only get one mother. I can't believe you'd do this to her. And through it all, the voice note still sat on my phone like a ticking bomb. She'll cover the bills anyway. She always does. I'd kept quiet long enough. That evening, I opened Facebook and began to type. For years, I've supported my family financially. I paid bills, covered emergencies, and helped every time I was asked. But generosity without respect becomes exploitation. Saying no isn't cruelty, it's survival. Setting boundaries isn't betrayal, it's healing. I hovered over the post button for a full minute before clicking it. My hands trembled. Within an hour, the post exploded. Some people applauded. Others condemned. My mom commented, "I'm heartbroken that you'd write this instead of coming to us." I replied publicly, "I tried." You hung up. Vanessa didn't comment. She just unfriended me. But one private message cut through the chaos, from a woman named Brianna, one of Vanessa's co-workers. "I saw your post. I just thought you should know. Vanessa's been bragging at work for months about how her sister pays for everything. She laughs about it." I stared at the message until the words blurred. Bragging, laughing, turning my sacrifice into a joke. That was the moment I stopped feeling guilty. The next evening, I drove to my mother's house unannounced. Both cars were there. I didn't hesitate. When my mom opened the door, her eyes widened. "Nora, what are you—" "I need to talk to both of you." Vanessa was on the couch, scrolling her phone. She froze when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" "Ending this." My voice didn't shake. For once, it sounded like it belonged to me. "I've been hearing things," I said. "About you, Vanessa. About you laughing at work. About how your sister always pays for everything." Her face went crimson. "That's not— Don't lie. I have messages. I have proof." She looked to my mom for rescue, but Mom just stared at the carpet. "I've paid your electric bill for 3 years," I said, my tone flat. "That's over $6,000. Add groceries, car repairs, medical bills, and credit cards. More than $15,000 in total. And not once did either of you thank me. You just expected it. Vanessa's mouth fell open. My mom whispered, I didn't realize it was that much. Of course you didn't. You never asked. I pulled out my phone. Remember the voice note? Vanessa's head jerked up. Please don't. I held her gaze. You said, she'll cover the bills anyway. You were right. Until now, tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. And that's why it matters. I turned to my mom. You let this happen. You made me the responsible one. You made me your safety net. I'm done being that person. The room was silent except for Vanessa's quiet sobs. I'm not paying another bill, I said finally. And you're going to tell everyone the truth. All the relatives you lied to. Tell them what really happened. Mom's voice cracked. You're asking us to humiliate ourselves. No, I'm asking you to be honest. I walked out before either of them could answer. My hands were shaking, but my head was clear. For the first time, I hadn't begged to be understood. I demanded to be respected. End of part 4. Curiosity builds. Will the truth heal them or destroy what's left of their family? 2 days after the confrontation, my phone rang. Mom. Her voice was small, stripped of the practiced guilt. I've been thinking about what you said. About the money. About how we treated you? I said nothing. Silence made her honest. I talked to Vanessa. We're going to tell the truth. To everyone. She paused, almost whispering. You were right, Nora. It wasn't fair. It wasn't the grand apology I'd imagined for years, but it was something real. A beginning. She went on softly. I leaned on you because you seemed so strong. I didn't realize how heavy that must have been for you. You didn't, I said quietly. I'm sorry, she said. Truly. For the first time, I didn't feel like the daughter trying to earn her mother's love. I felt like someone being seen. Vanessa stayed silent for weeks. I didn't chase her. Boundaries meant more than peace. But one Saturday morning, my doorbell rang. And there she was, standing awkwardly on my porch with her hands stuffed into her jacket pockets. Can I come in? We sat in the living room, two sisters who had finally run out of lies to tell each other. I've been trying to figure out what to say, she began, voice trembling. Mom told me about everything. The money, the post. I'm sorry. Not just for the voice note. For all of it. I treated you like a safety net instead of a person. Her words hit me like rain after a drought. I wanted to believe her. But belief takes time. I'm not going back to how things were, I said. I know, she nodded. I don't expect you to. I just want to start over, as sisters. Her eyes were glassy, vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen since we were kids. I've got a second job, she added, almost shyly. Retail at night. It sucks, but I'm paying my own bills now. I even started saving. That did something to me. Pride, maybe. Relief. You're learning, I said. She smiled faintly. Yeah, it's weird but kind of freeing. Weeks turned into months. Our relationship softened, cautiously rebuilt on truth instead of obligation. Vanessa texted me funny videos, asked about my job, and for once, never about money. Mom found steady work as an office assistant and, shockingly, started therapy. One afternoon, she called and said, My therapist made me realize I treated you like a pillar, not a daughter. I'm sorry I never asked if you wanted to be strong all the time. Her voice cracked. You deserved better. It was strange hearing my mother talk like that, like she finally saw the cost of her love. And then came the good news, a promotion. Senior analyst. More money, more stability. Old habits whispered, you could help them again. But Derek's words echoed louder. You're allowed to succeed without it becoming everyone else's opportunity. So I told my mom, gently but clearly, I'm proud of this, but I'm using it to pay off my loans, not anyone's bills. And to my surprise, she just said, good, you should. By spring, everything looked different. Vanessa had moved into her own apartment, Mom was thriving, and I'd just closed on a small cottage near Portland, my first home. When they came to help me move, Vanessa handed me a framed photo of the three of us, smiling from Thanksgiving. On the bottom, she'd written in neat cursive, "Family isn't about who pays the bills. It's about who shows up." Tears blurred my vision. For the first time, they had both shown up, not to take, but to give. That night, as the sun set behind my new house, I sat on the porch listening to the quiet hum of my own electricity, mine alone. The voice note was still saved on my phone. She'll cover the bills anyway. She always does. Sometimes I play it back, not out of anger, but as a reminder. That girl, the one who covered everything, doesn't exist anymore. The best revenge wasn't making them pay. It was learning to keep my light on, only for myself.